It's simple, really. Great stories with a good cup of tea. It's the Tea with Mike show. Alright guys, welcome to another episode of the Tea with Mike show. Joining me for this one is Justin. Welcome to Tea with Mike, Justin.
Hey, thank you. Thanks so much, Mike. Thanks for having me here today.
Yeah, no worries. So, where do you call home?
Right now I call Maui, Hawaii my home. It's currently where I'm based out of.
So today where I am, there's been a lot of thunderstorms and rain and cloudy. Is it pretty sunny where you are?
Oh yeah, we just have roosters crowing in the background. I closed the door so you can't hear that. But it's sunny every single day and nice weather, beaches.
Awesome. And so in your bio that you sent to me, one of the things that you said in quotations was that you didn't apply yourself at school. So can you tell us a little bit about what school was like for you and why you think you didn't apply yourself?
Yeah, I graduated high school. I never went to college. It just wasn't for me. And in school, I never really thought to apply myself because I was more interested in having fun with friends and kind of horsing around and not really taking things so seriously. But I got good grades. I got good grades in school, and I didn't have to try. I didn't have to study or anything. I was, that type of a person where I could just, have fun and just still get pretty good grades. Not straight A's, but B's and C's, along those lines. And yeah, it just wasn't for me. I just really wanted to have fun, really, as I was in school.
Yeah, so was there anything that you enjoyed doing in school? Like, did you have a favorite subject, or was it all just a bit of a requirement per se?
No, it was just more of a requirement. I mean, I just enjoyed like communicating and networking. Like I was really good at networking. I've always been good at networking. So I was always good at like making friends and meeting people and connecting with people. And that's what I really enjoyed the most about being in school is just being around friends and in in classes together and just that's I really didn't care for the subjects at all, to be honest with you. I cared more about, being with my friends and talking and hanging out and having fun.
Cool. So looking back from where you are today, what strategies do you think you could have used to motivate and help yourself learn in a school environment?
Yeah, I mean, for for the most part, it's kind of interesting. I had to relearn things. I had to, not necessarily. I had to relearn discipline and commitment and because I didn't do those things in school. I was just kind of like a wild child. So, but what I did learn and that I do use and apply still to this day is that overall just ability to connect with people and network with people and just being able to find a common ground with somebody quickly to build rapport and that's helped me a lot, a lot in life. Is those that just personable, relatable like way that I was has carried a lot to where I am today. To get to where I am today, and yeah, but I had to relearn the discipline and the commitment when it comes to studying and when you translate that into a business, you have to really take care of that as well.
Cool. So can you tell us a little bit about your journey after school to the point where you decided that you wanted to educate yourself?
Yeah, so I mean, I can take you back, as far as you want, or after school too is fine. But essentially, I was addicted to drugs and alcohol for the longest period of my life, and I was hanging out with the bad crowd, the wrong crowd, and I got into some trouble, and I ended up getting a felony, getting arrested when I was about 18 years old, just after I graduated high school. Um, and I didn't go to college, as I mentioned earlier. So now I had, these two cards stacked against me. No college education. I got arrested. I had a, criminal record, and I was addicted to drugs and alcohol. And so I went into the workforce and I just started doing odd jobs. I was doing delivering food. I was, for a pizzeria. I was working as a stock boy. I was working as a cashier. Those were the jobs that I was only to get, so to speak, because I didn't have any, credentials, I guess. And then I was doing that for a long period of time, um, and then it got to a point where I just, I was also living with my mom and my stepdad, and he was very narcissistic at that time, and he would always torment me and my brother and treat us very poorly, in the sense that he would talk down to us condescendingly and degrade us, and manipulate us. And I got very suicidal at that time. So I decided to get into a basement apartment with my brother to get away from that. So we moved into a basement apartment together after living in my mom's basement. And then we just decided to work. And then, it was living paycheck to paycheck. I was only making about $200 a week, I think, at the time. About between 200 to 400 a week, and never really took any vacations, never really went out to eat, never really went to the movies. I couldn't afford that stuff because now I had to pay rent and my phone bill and food and transportation and everything else. But I was happy, I was happy to be out of that toxic environment. But now I was in a different environment where it was better, but still not better. It was the kitchen was, floor was sinking in because it was needed a lot of work. It had a strange odor to the apartment. There was ants infested in the kitchen. There was flies infested in my room. In the bathroom didn't have any windows. So it was a very, very interesting basement apartment. So as I was working in the supermarket as a stock boy, I started getting, more and more suicidal, and I had one point, got hospitalized because I just couldn't take it anymore. And then I got out of the hospital, and then I got back to working, and then I talked to my mom, and she recommended me her friend, son, who was working on Wall Street, saying that there was a sales job. They didn't care about college degrees and stuff. Maybe you should apply there. So I did. I ended up applying there. I ended up getting the job, long story short, and I ended up becoming the top sales rep in the company. In my first month, I made 1.864 million in sales, and that's when I met my first mentor, who took me under his wing, who's Danny Skulls. I'm sure some people are familiar with him, Danny Skulls from Clubhouse. And he really helped me, and he handed me my first commission check, which was for $12,000. And for me, that really lit a fire under me. And within 6 months, I moved myself out of that basement apartment into a brand new apartment in New York City, a studio apartment. And I was making really good money. I was on top of the world. I was developing my education. I was investing in books. I was reading a lot of books because I didn't apply myself in school. But the funny thing is I love to learn. When I got to learn whatever I want to learn, I didn't have people tell me what to learn. So I started educating myself in, personal development, self-help, motivation, psychology, sales. Like I read mostly nonfiction books because I like to educate myself and know like what's out there, what's working and stuff. So I did that, and that's kind of what helped me to build a better mindset for myself, and then I ended up quitting that job after 3 years because I just got to a place where things just weren't, working out mentally for me. So, because it was very, it was a fast-paced environment. It was Wall Street. I was making, it was very fast-paced, very performance-based as well, and high-pressured. So I ended up leaving and then going to travel the world. I ended up living in the Philippines for a year. And after living there, I kind of got to see the street kids in poverty and seeing, 5-year-olds sleeping on the street begging for change, food, and money, and it was like, it was very eye-opening for me. So I basically I made it a mission for myself that one day I would come back and I would help them and I would create a nonprofit organization to educate, feed, and clothe them, because I met one in particular child that really touched my heart there, and that kind of sparked that in me. So I came back to the States. My sister had gotten married, so I had to come back, and then I had that newfound knowledge of, appreciation, gratitude. Don't take things for granted. Just be happy that you're alive and that things can, good things can come. So I ended up going back home for a bit, and I ended up moving in with my mom. She took me back in. I ended up moving out within the next couple months. I got another opportunity where I was doing direct response copywriting. I was working for an agency, I was contracted, and I was making really good money again. So I was back to making good money with that, and then I decided to shift into doing coaching, because I love to do coaching. So I started a coaching program, and I started that with my partner Danny Skulls, and that's been going really well. And now I'm living in Maui, Hawaii, because I ended up getting married in last August of 2020. And moving here where she lives. And we used to date each other 4 years ago, and then we ended up breaking up at that time because I was immature. And long story short, 4 years later, we got back together, we got married, and I moved out here in Maui, Hawaii, and here I am. And I'm happy to be here, and I'm here to serve. And I'm now 2.5 years sober, because I ended up getting sober and changing my life around. After I came back from the Philippines, that's when I really had that newfound vision and that epiphany, as well as I had a few other near-death experiences, such as one time I got into a car accident. I was drunk driving, and I remember I hit a pole, and my car flipped upside down, and I'll never forget, like, the car sliding upside down, and I'm upside down, and the sound of the pavement and the roof of the car sliding, and the smell that it made was just so bad. And then the car stopped, and I tried to unbuckle my seatbelt. I fell down to the roof. I crawled out the broken side window, and I remember standing up, looking at my car upside down, just freaking out, like wondering what happened. And I only had a scratch. I only had a scratch on my head. So that's when I learned that there was more to my life, and that it wasn't up to me to take it. That there is a God out there. That's what I believe. I believe in God, and whatever your conception is totally fine. For me, it's God. For you, it can be universe, energy, whatever. But we all have a purpose in life. We all have a meaning in life, and a path to choose. So what I've learned is that, no matter what path you're on, it's your path, and someone else's path isn't your path. So just stay in your lane, focus on your path, and pivot if you have to, and just learn to develop emotional resiliency in life, to learn that things aren't going to work out. Things are going to hit the fan. Things are going to suck. Things aren't going to go your way, but it's okay, because as long as you never give up and you keep moving forward, things do end up working out, and things do actually happen for you rather than to you. So when you look back on these things, and in the moment it may be difficult, but looking back on it, you can realize and understand that, nothing has really happened to you. All of these things were just shaping and creating your character and developing this newfound resiliency in you. And that's what I found. There's a balance in life. There's an order in life. There's good and bad. There's positive and negative. There's a balance, and we just need to appreciate and understand that, because life isn't all sunshine and rainbows,
Exactly, right.
Yeah. But that's my story for there. So
Pause for a quick tea fact, and then we'll dive right back into it. So the tea fact for the episode is: in the late 1800s, green tea was the most popular tea in the United States. During World War II, green tea sources were unavailable. Americans began importing tea from India, which produced black tea. So after the war, black tea then became the most popular tea, replacing green tea. And that comes from teaanswers.com/teafacts trivia.
Interesting. That's interesting. I did not know that.
You do now.
I do now.
So obviously you just told us a great story in a nutshell, kind of documenting the kind of the highs and the lows, multiple apartments, multiple jobs, times when life was like $1 million, and then also a time when life was $0. So if you're reflecting back on that journey, what was the most challenging thing about your journey, I guess, so far?
Yeah, the most challenging thing was believing in myself. It was really just believing in myself. It was just getting to a place of self-love, and that journey is where I'm at. And the journey that I've gone through and that I've learned in life is that it's just a journey to self-love, where you can look at the person in the mirror and love that person looking back at you. And that's what I've found out so far in my life, is that's what it was all about, is just getting back to that place where you can just love yourself and be comfortable in your own skin, and being okay with the way things are, and knowing that you have a choice, in life. You have a choice to choose how you deal with a situation. You can either choose to focus on the negative or focus on the positive, meaning, either the problem or the solution. Yeah.
Cool. And then, so was there a particular event or person that made you decide to like change, in quotations, for the better, even though life has both its ups and its downs, and nobody lives a perfect life?
Yeah, it was my dog Sky. I had an Alaskan Klee Kai. His name is Sky. Um, and I love that dog more than myself. And having that dog was like having a child, in the sense that, yeah, some people may say it's not the same, and I may argue or agree with them, but for me, it was, it's not about, it's not about that. It's about that, this other being, so to speak, even, it's an animal, but it still has, consciousness, let's just call it. It's other consciousness, and an ability to share love. I love that dog, basically, and it taught me a lot. It taught me a lot about just being patient. It taught me a lot about just being happy and grateful. Like living in the moment really is like what it really taught me. And like, so yeah, my dog. And that's what I would say. Yeah. Yeah.
In your bio, you say in quotations that you wanted to stop negative thoughts and try to use positivity for change. So can you tell us a little bit more about how you did this, and how it was successful for you?
Yeah, so it wasn't easy, in the beginning, because I had a lot of negativity, because of, the influences around me. My stepdad, my mom's, and other family were very negative, as well as my own thoughts were negative. So it was all coming at me at all angles. And on top of that, I didn't believe in myself, so I didn't know I could even change or how to change. So what I ended up doing was I really just started listening to a lot of audios. I started listening to a lot of Tony Robbins. Like in the beginning, Tony Robbins helped me a lot. I would listen to him all the time, like every day. Just try to fill my mind with like that positive self-talk, and in that positive like affirmations, from these thought leaders, so to speak. And then I would start reading books, because I thought that maybe it can help drown out the noise. I thought that if I put enough good stuff in my mind, that the negative stuff would eventually go away, and it did. It did for a certain period. Um, but what I had learned is that these things aren't permanent. There's ways to going about and handling it, and there's different levels to it, like levels of awareness and consciousness. And for what I will say is, for anybody who's struggling with the, being stuck, in that negativity, the best thing to do is just try to drown it out by listening to a lot of audios of Tony Robbins or self-help, motivational things, and reading a lot of self-help books and stuff. And then at some point you'll get to a point where you'll realize is that you have the control to change your thoughts. You have to get control. You have to take control of your mind again. You have to take back your mind. And the only way you can take back your mind is just like finding a way to just like focus when those thoughts come up on something that you can be grateful for. It's kind of like changing the channel, with a remote. You just like, if a negative thought comes in, try to replace it with a positive thought, and that can be just simply getting present in the moment and just start thinking about what you're grateful for. That you're alive, that you can breathe, that you have somewhere to live, you have clothes, you have food. Yeah, so that's what I would say.
And what you just described, is that something that you still practice currently?
Yeah, every single day. Every day. I think about everything I'm grateful for. Yeah, for sure.
And how do you do that? Do you say it out loud to a mirror? Do you write it down? Like, what specific way do you do it?
Yeah, so I believe in God, right? So I pray every night before I go to bed, and my praying is different. What I'm really saying is like what I'm really saying is what I'm thankful for and what I'm grateful for. So I say like, like thank you for this apartment, thank you for thank you for my clothes, thank you for my bank account, thank you for my family, my friends, it's just giving thanks essentially is my form of prayer. And then in the morning when I wake up, I make my bed. To me, that just gets the morning started. I make my bed, I brush my teeth, and then I just start thinking about things I'm grateful for. I don't really speak them out loud. Sometimes I do, but mostly I speak them inside of my head. Like I'll say in my head, like, like I'm grateful for this apartment, like thank you for this. I either go back and forth between saying I'm thankful, like thank you for this, or I'm grateful for this. But yeah, it's a ritual. It's a morning and night ritual.
Cool. So let's just go back to the multiple kind of sales jobs that you've had. What are some of the skills that you learned from doing these particular types of jobs?
Yeah, I learned how to really connect with people and to listen. I think the most important thing is just learning to listen to them, because oftentimes salespeople like to talk. They like the sound of their own voice, and I like to listen. So for these sales jobs that I've had, they were all quite different. One was I used to do retail sales. I worked for doing retail sales for men's clothing. Um, I worked in a supermarket where I was like trying to like sell different samples. And then I worked in another sales department where I was selling refrigeration panels. And then I worked in Wall Street where that really took off. I really took off. And that's when I learned to listen, and that's when I learned that hard work pays off. If you can work your butt off, it will pay off.
Love it. Talk to us a little bit more about the experience of basically having a reset and spending some time in the Philippines.
Yeah, yeah. So I kind of went there to. The real reason that I had went there was because of not only did I quit my job in Wall Street, but I had also um, I had tried to start a business with one of my coworkers that used to work there, and we created a business plan. We were looking to get funding, and long story short is we never got funding, and I ended up blowing through all of my savings. I lost about $100,000, and I ran up to 30,000 in credit cards. So I felt really ashamed and embarrassed that I had everything and now I lost everything. So I really went to the Philippines to find myself again and reset and get away from all of that, because I just couldn't deal with it. And so when I went to the Philippines, I took about a year vacation, and I just traveled around. I got to meet a lot of amazing people, and I got to see a lot of amazing things and some sad things as well. As I mentioned, the homeless children. And then it's kind of like when I found myself is like when I saw that, when I saw how they interacted with each other and treated each other, with such kindness and such love and such gratitude and appreciation just for like, with their job that they have and their family and their whatever they have is like they don't take things for granted. I felt better, I felt better. I ended up I ended up I ended up really like having a new awakening, so to speak. And that's when things like kind of like when I forgave myself as well as the other person for the business we started. And that forgiveness is what really held me free. That's what made me free, because I did have a lot of resentment for that, and I did have a lot of pain from that, and I had to deal with that first before I could move forward, and I did deal with that, and yeah. So it was a great experience, and I'm gonna hopefully return back once the borders open up. But yeah.
Bio, you talk about imposter syndrome. So can you tell us a little bit about what this is and how you try to help entrepreneurs fight it?
Yeah, so in the beginning, when I was getting started in my coaching business, I have recently pivoted, but we still do help with that in the coaching that we're doing. Apologize, they're doing some work outside.
No worries, man.
So what I imposter syndrome essentially is this new kind of like phenomena that's been going on, and a lot of people have it that don't realize it. But what it is that they kind of feel like they're an imposter, that they're afraid to do something because they feel that they don't have enough experience or they don't have enough knowledge or they don't have all the right parts in place. And the way that it shows up for women is different than men. For women, they tend to lean towards to overachieving, to basically overcompensate for their thought of for their what they think to be their lack of ability. But they actually are more, they're very capable of what they're doing in their career or their business, but they just tend to overachieve because they think that they're not capable of it. And for men, they just won't do things. They just won't do things. They think that they're not, they don't have the credentials or the certifications or the expertise, so they just won't do it. So what I tell them is that just be authentic and be transparent and be honest with people. Especially when you're getting started out, you don't have to tell people you're making $1 million. You don't have to tell people that, you can just say to people, hey, like, I'm just getting started with this. You're going to be my first case study. So that's why I'm offering it for, a less of an amount. And you can just be honest with people and be real with people. And, you're really looking to help people who are a step below you, not at the same level as you or a level above you, but just kind of a step below you. And once people realize that, then it makes more sense for them because now they feel less scared because they can understand that, oh, okay, like I'm helping somebody who was like how I was a year ago or 5 years ago, as opposed to somebody, you're not helping people who are advanced because they don't need your help, but you're helping people who were you 5 years ago or a year ago. So yeah, that's kind of the approach that I take.
Amazing. And then, so what do you have kind of going on for this rest of the year and moving forward? How are you going to take everything that's happened to you so far in a life that I would call that, like, it feels like you've been in a movie, the ups and the downs. How are you going to use all of that experience to push forward?
Yeah, I mean, life is a journey. Things don't go as planned, so just gotta roll with the punches and just move forward. That's really, I mean, I'm from everything that I've learned is just don't quit. That's it. Like, just don't quit. Just don't quit. Never give up. Like, and keep moving forward.
So do you have any goals that you wish to share for the rest of the year, or do you...
Yeah, so I plan to do some traveling, of course. I plan to better propose a business plan for the by the end of the year for the nonprofit. I still need to create the business plan for that as well. So hopefully by the end of this year, I'll have completed that. I do plan to write a book as well, so that's another one of my goals by the end of this year, to get that going in motion. And then just continuing to scale and grow this coaching business, and serve and help people as I can. Yeah, the one piece of advice that I would say is, no matter where you are in life, don't compare yourself to other people. Compare yourself to yourself. You know, how were you yesterday as opposed to today? And then how are you going to be tomorrow? So there's three versions of yourself: the past, the present, and the future. And those are the only comparisons that you need to make. So if you compare yourself with yesterday to today, if you're at least 1% better, that's all you really need. And then just focus on making those small incremental improvements, and don't worry about other people and how they're doing, because everybody has their own story and their own race to run in life. So yeah, that's it.
Well, thanks so much for being on the show today, and for telling your powerful story. All right, guys, this was another episode of the Tea with Mike show with Justin. Make sure you go check this out. It's the Tea with Mike show.